Welcome to 17 Strong. Victories don't come by accident. Here's your host, Steve Teixeira.
Thanks, Andy. Welcome to another 17 Strong podcast. I'm joined by my beautiful wife, Holly. Hi, babe.
Hi, how are you?
Well, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
We are getting started again this year, and we took December off. Christmas is always kind of a tough time of year around our house, especially now that Ryan's gone. Things are a little bit different, but we did celebrate Christmas this year. Aaron came home from Colorado, so that was really nice. And we are kicking off the new year with a special guest.
2020.
Yep.
Yes, that's right.
Hard to believe.
Can't believe it.
He's on leave from the United States Air Force and one of Ryan's closest friends growing up. Would you like to introduce him?
I sure would, although you do a better job at that. But we have with us Jordan Harrigan. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. It's good to be here.
Yeah, well, thank you. Well, I want to start by saying, first of all, how did you know Ryan? How did you meet him? What was the first thing?
Oh, goodness. This goes way back. I think the first memory I have of Ryan is youth baseball, playing All-Stars growing up. We played Beach Cities, and, just always seeing him with that big old smile on his face. Didn't matter if, someone hit a home run on the other team. He'd high-five you, with a big smile, greet you as you were going around the bases or vice versa. So that was the first memory I had. And then we actually got him on our club baseball team, and from there the memories just kept flowing and flowing and flowing. And it was endless smiles and endless laughs. But that's how everything started with the relationship with me and Ryan.
Exactly, and I feel like it was. I know we had said in a previous podcast that there were. I think Ryan was like 10 or 11 when he chose his number, and we had said it was the opportunity for the travel ball team is able to choose a number. And so that was the beginning.
Yep.
Probably, I think 10. Ryan and you are the same age.
Yeah.
Yeah. So all of the other boys seem to be a lot older or a year older.
A year or two older. Yep.
That's right. So Jordan was always in the same grade as Ryan, so that always helped. But I think what I remember is that when we met Jordan and Ryan were connected at the hip. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yep, that's pretty much how it went.
It was an instant bond.
Yeah, it wasn't effortless.
Yeah.
It was easy. He and I clicked, in every aspect of life. Sports, friendships, relationships, family. There wasn't a weekend when he and I weren't together.
That's what I remember. We live on some property, and every single time I turned around, Jordan was here. And I was like, wow, I think you became part of our family at that point because it was Jordan spending the night. How long is he staying? Well, as long as his parents will let him.
Yeah, it was, I remember staying out here for a week straight, but, this was the only house I was allowed to go to if I ever got grounded.
That was right. Let's talk about that for a minute. Yeah, let's talk about that. So you got grounded.
Oh, yeah. I would get grounded, whether it was, for giving my siblings a hard time or, anything else. But it was, if Ryan called and wanted me to come over, instantly ungrounded, and I'd be over at the ranch quickly.
Oh my gosh, that always made me laugh. I was like, Jordan would say, "Hey, Holly, why don't you call my mom because she'll say yes."
Yeah, please just let me out of the house so I can hang out with you guys.
Yeah, well, and it was nice because you did just run around. It wasn't like you were cooped up in the house very long.
There was, we were always finding something to do. Getting in the gator, going in the mountains, grass boarding, anything. It was, we'd be out in the, in the morning, till it got late, and we got, came back for dinner or something like that. But we were always gone exploring, the ranch and all that kind of stuff.
Exactly. Yeah, they came back with dirt on their faces, and then
grass boarding. I forgot.
Grass boarding.
Yeah, we did grass boarding. We bought the
explain grass boarding to these people that don't have a clue. I believe you made it up.
Okay, yeah. So Ryan and I, we got the bright idea to, we were probably, 5th, 6th grade, and we have the gator and a rope and an old skimboard. So we drilled the hole in the skimboard, tied a rope to it and, hooked it up to the gator, and we went all around the baseball field and trying to see as fast as we could go. And,
twist and turn.
Decided to bring, bike ramps out there. That never went well. Oh yeah. That tore Ryan up pretty quick.
Oh my God.
But yeah, that was, endless fun. People would come out here just for grass boarding for the longest time.
Oh yeah. I'm like, grass boarding, what's that? Oh, okay. Yes, I know. The game that Ryan and Jordan made up. Yes, those were some highlights for sure. Absolute highlights. Steve, is there anything that you can remember when Jordan would come over?
Yeah, I remember them grass boarding, and you'd turn the corner and watch one of them just fly
and skip across
my gosh, it's like ouch.
Yeah, they would come home with some scabs and some.
Yeah, but that was always the best part. We were laughing no matter the circumstance. If we got hurt, no matter what it was, we were always having a good time.
Nobody broke bones.
No.
So we're good.
Yeah, we're good. Yeah, no ER trips, so we're fine.
That's right. I don't think that. Yeah,
good classic fun.
That was clean fun.
And I felt like we were a home for boys.
We were.
We always had boys over there.
At the very least, there was either one here, if not 5 more.
Oh, absolutely, at all times. That's so true. So, and that's what I loved about it is that we had the room to have the kids, and I enjoyed that more than ever. I would.
Oh yeah, this was my childhood growing up here, so it was
exactly.
My best memories are here for sure.
Oh yeah, and they learn how to do a lot of things, and it is kind of the circle of life. You know, you see, definitely. The cows born, and then all that stuff, and that's kind of neat to be able to be around that too.
Yeah,
the
exactly.
chicken coop and being able to be in there. And I think we shot a commercial in there one time. I don't know if you were a part of that, but that was super funny. But anyway, okay, so your relationship has developed. I mean, tons of childhood memories, I believe. But it also grew, I feel like, into high school years and all that stuff too.
Yeah, most definitely. Ryan and I, we were best friends, but we were family, to say the very least. Like I said, we clicked effortlessly. It was just a bond right away. I'm pretty sure, I was the one that talked him into playing youth football.
Right. I know you were.
Yeah.
Because he was a baseball guy through and through.
Yeah.
And it was only Aaron.
Yeah, Aaron had played first.
Right, that was playing football
and
trying to encourage his brother. But it was really Jordan that flipped the switch for Ryan.
Right.
Yeah, because Ryan played, was it his 7th? His 7th grade is when he started with us. And that was just another memory we shared, and it was just effortless, and there's just so many memories that he and I had. And then, from football to basketball to baseball, I feel like we were always meeting on a court or a field somewhere.
Oh, sure.
And we'd go from, a basketball game at different schools to let's go hang out at the ranch, and we'd be there all night on a school night.
Oh, yeah. Spending the night on school nights. Oh, yeah. I remember those days too.
Yep.
That's awesome. That was really cool. What were the other things that I was? Let's talk about really quick. You guys turned 16, and it was prior to your 16th birthday, but there was something that you and Ryan definitely had a desire to buy a certain type of a car for their 16th birthday.
Yeah.
This was a Ryan and Jordan thing that I was not in favor of.
Yeah. So, I had a strong, liking for old muscle cars. And, that's another thing Ryan and I just shared. We'd be talking about it jokingly, and then it was, hey, you know what? Let's get an old muscle car for our first car. Probably not the best idea.
Right.
But,
no airbags.
No airbags, but, it was easily the most fun. I think I got mine first, but mine was not on the road. So it was better to look at than it was to sit in and drive.
Did it even have wheels? I don't even know if it had wheels.
Barely.
Barely?
They were
old Mustang.
It was barely having wheels. And then Ryan got Jenny, and we'd cruise the ranch, and definitely safe, of course.
Yeah.
Did you name your car? I don't remember.
Oh no! I mean, definitely can't top Jenny.
But exactly.
Jenny's hard to beat. But yeah, that was, oh my gosh! I remember when when Ryan, we got out of football practice, and he goes, "Hey, I need to show you something." And then sure it was, there was Jenny. And, that was just another thing we shared. And,
and Jenny is, let me just interrupt a second. Jenny is a 71 Chevelle.
Oh, beautiful.
It's beautiful. It's gray and it has a black racing stripe on it.
Yep.
This was Ryan's first car that he called Jenny. And Jenny, why did they call it Jenny? Tell us.
Oh,
Jordan.
Forrest Gump, of course.
I love you, Jenny.
Yep.
That was what Ryan said, and you really can't top Jenny. Jenny
no.
Jenny was his girl for sure. Yeah. You guys definitely had that bond with those muscle cars and stuff. And but when you guys had your permit, you talked about getting these muscle cars for quite some time. But if I'm not mistaken, Holly here, your second mom, taught you how to drive, right?
Oh yeah, I came out here.
Okay,
I remember,
let's talk about that.
I remember when we came out here. Oh gosh, definitely didn't have our permits, but
you didn't have your permit.
No, because I came out here to learn how to drive a stick for the first time.
That's right.
At night.
Isn't that a perfect time?
Yeah, I thought it was great. Definitely stalled the car multiple times, but it was, Ryan and Mama number 2 that helped me out.
That's right.
And it was, good old fun. I remember driving the van when we had it out here. Yeah, we used to drive the van everywhere.
Absolutely.
And then, I can't remember how it happened, but Ryan called me and asked me if I want to learn how to drive a stick. Sure enough, 15 minutes later, I was out at the ranch driving a stick at night.
Absolutely. Well, I tried. Steve, tell us how we got that car. Do you remember how we got that car?
Well, when we were in the restaurant business, that was supposed to be a delivery car.
Okay.
And we bought it super, super cheap, and it couldn't be insured. So we ended up just bringing it to the ranch and letting.
And I believe that not a lot of the workers knew how to drive a stick shift. So that was another reason why we had to get rid of this car.
Yeah.
So before we got rid of it, I told Steve, let's keep it for a month or so and teach the kids how to drive a stick. I believe everybody needs to know how to drive a stick. So we did. I mean, we taught
it was the
Aaron.
best time ever.
It's the best. Yeah. And I think I just let you guys go after you got the basics.
Yeah. I remember, for a while we had you in the car, teaching us. And then I think later that night, still nighttime, of course, it was, Ryan, Aaron, and I just, cruising around in that small little car from the gate back to the house, back and forth. And then we'd switch.
Well, you're determined to try to figure it out.
Most definitely.
You're like, I'm going to get this.
And between the three of us, there was nothing we couldn't do.
Right. Right. And so you jerked and stalled a few times, but I think you guys got it within an hour. Do you think?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds about right.
It was awesome. Do you remember I took that car and I brought Ryan and Aaron to football practice in that car one time.
Oh, did you?
Yes, and they'll never let me live that down. They're like, "Oh my gosh, everybody's staring at us." It was a beater car, but man, we learned. And I feel
it was
like
the best.
It's something that
perfect little ranch car where everyone can learn. And it was easy to learn on and
super easy to learn on. And it was just it didn't matter. You weren't going to
it was
hurt
endless
anything.
fun. Oh, exactly.
You weren't
And
going to hurt
being on the
anything.
ranch was the best place to learn, of course. So,
exactly.
But yeah, and I'd struggle, of course. And Ryan, of course, picked it up super easy, just like anything else.
Exactly.
So he helped me out a lot. And then we'd, throw Aaron up there, and it was just a good time all around.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
I think everybody was coming over here just to learn how to drive the stick shift.
Oh, yeah.
So I think I told Ryan, let's try to.
It was friends on friends on friends always
Yeah.
out here, especially, to drive that, to learn how to drive stick. I think, a good portion of our friend group learned how to drive a stick out here. So
Yeah. We would always try to have people come out and even just learn how to drive and back up and, do all this stuff. Yeah, because you can't really hurt a whole lot out here other than
my first time driving a car was out here.
Right?
I remember exactly. I was, and then I asked my mom and she was not for it.
Yeah.
She didn't want me driving her car, of course, but then, I come out here and, drive the van to the gate and back or, to Nana and Papa's or to the barn. And, it was super easy and fun.
Yeah. And it was a everyday thing in our lives because, just to get wood or get, dump the trash, you needed a vehicle to be able to do that. And so that was super cool. So yeah, the ranch was definitely a big part of your life, I would say.
Oh, it was the biggest blessing.
Yeah.
To be able to come out here and
awesome.
just effortlessly have the best time that you possibly could.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, so now we're going to go into, you're a senior in high school at this point now, and Ryan gets diagnosed. So, how did you find out and what were your thoughts?
So I got a text, and, I didn't know how to act. I was kind of, hit with a bunch of emotions at once. Didn't really believe it, of course. So I called Ryan. I'll never forget the call. I was in my garage. I just called him and I had to ask because, you could hear from multiple people, but, to hear it from, the source itself. And he told me, but he was oddly okay with it. He had the best outcome on everything. So when he told me, he said, "It's fine, relax. It's not a big deal. I got this." And that was, probably the biggest saving grace for me was, being as close as I was to Ryan, having him as a brother to me and a brother to my siblings and a son to my parents. I didn't know what to expect.
Right.
Usually you hear, something like this, with your grandparents or something like that, but to have it, with your best friend, you don't know how to act. So to hear, from him say, "Hey, relax. I love you. Things are fine.
Right.
We got this."
Yeah.
So I was the biggest thing for me. And I said, "All right, you're right. We got this." And,
Right.
that's, but it was tough. And like I said, you never know how to act in a situation
No,
like that.
absolutely. You don't
Because
ever think that's going to hit you at
you always
such a
hear
young
about
age.
it happening to other people, but you never think it's going to happen to someone, let alone, your best friend that you're absolutely inseparable with.
Right.
But it did.
That's tough.
And, and his outlook on it was what saved me.
Oh,
Completely.
me too. No, I get it. Yeah.
It was, it was like he wasn't even going through it at all. He didn't let him affect him at school. He didn't want the sympathy from anybody.
Nope, you're right.
He didn't want people to know for that reason. Because Ryan was who he was, outgoing, the most genuine person you'll ever meet. And that's just how it was.
Right. He didn't want people feeling sorry for him.
Exactly.
He wanted to go about it.
He wanted to be normal.
He did.
At all times.
Yeah, that's so true. He did. He wanted
and
to
that's
be
hard
normal.
for Ryan.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I don't even know what normal was.
Yeah,
No.
Exactly. Yeah.
But
I agree. It's a tough. It takes your breath away.
Yep.
You're you don't know how to act. You're so paralyzed, if you will,
Yeah, exactly.
because you don't know what to do or say. And he really took everything in stride.
Exactly.
He was, and it was very public from the very beginning.
From the beginning.
So head shaving.
Yeah. So yeah, I remember like that, like it was yesterday. The idea got brought up, and then it was okay. The baseball team's going to do it. Well, I'm letting you know right now, as a best friend, I'm not letting him do it alone. So,
and he had long hair at the time.
Oh yeah, he had
The flow.
The
Yeah,
flow.
yeah, that was the thing. Ryan did it, so
flow.
I had to grow mine out. Of course,
Yeah, of course.
Didn't
Yeah.
look as good, but I tried.
Yeah, that's so funny.
But I wasn't letting him do it alone. Yeah,
Right.
the baseball team, but no, I'm.
How
gonna
many
do it with
people
him.
were there, do you think?
Oh gosh, probably 50 to 100, if not. Because I remember walking into the freshman weightlifting class. I didn't know who any of the kids were. I said, "Listen, I don't know who you guys are. You don't know who I am, but you're gonna shave your head." Because it's not about you guys.
They're freshmen. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's not about you guys.
Yeah.
It's about something way bigger.
Yeah. No, I agree. There was tons of
this
people
was
there.
your varsity football captain
Yeah.
and your brother, and
Mhm.
you're going to be there. And sure enough, everyone showed up.
So many people.
Yeah.
People with long hair, short
yeah.
hair. It didn't matter. They were
they were all
yeah.
for it. I remember, I got a picture of Ryan shaving my head, Ryan shaving my little brother's head, Drew's. So, it was the best turnout.
Oh my gosh.
It was unreal.
It was a party.
Yeah,
Just like Ryan want a party.
It wasn't, and it didn't start out that way. Something so simple and small turned into, one of the best things ever. There was, I think the news was there too.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Ray was taking pictures.
Yep.
There was a lot of people there, people that didn't even know Ryan.
Yeah, that's true.
And then you see the next day at school, everyone's walking around with their head shaved. So.
Yep, exactly.
I didn't have to worry about that.
Yeah. Steve did not have to worry about that. But that was probably it was a hard moment for me because it gets real.
Yeah.
Ryan,
Quick.
it really does get real. But and just the amount of support too. It's overwhelming when all these kids come out and they want to do something, and that was something that they could do.
Yeah, just something so, what might seem small and easy to them, says,
oh yeah, your support is
exactly.
huge.
And,
so I felt like that was really, really crazy. So so that was a hard situation. So we had to deal with that. And then he got better. He was cancer free, got better.
Yep.
He did.
That's when I went off to college.
Really well. He went off to college. But prior to that, let's go back to when you're a senior still, and there was some recruiting people that came. Let's talk about that for a minute. Do you remember that?
For Ryan?
I think it was for in your class together. You guys had a class together.
We had a good class. There was lots of recruiting going on. And then I know what you're talking about. Yeah, so we had
I'm segueing.
Yeah, we had a military recruiter come in.
Okay, there we go.
That's I was always gung ho on playing football. Till I couldn't play anymore. And I remember the first recruiter that came in, it was me, Ryan, and Julian in an ag class. And
Julian is J-Rax, by the way.
J-Rax, good old J-Rax,
And nicknamed by Ryan.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Ryan had nicknames for everyone.
Oh, gosh. I don't want to know them all.
So, and, he came in and, at first, no one wanted to listen. But at the end of it, Ryan looked at me. He goes, that's you. And I said, what do you mean that's me? He goes, that's you. I don't know how to describe it, but that's you. That's your personality. If you're not playing football, you're going to the military. I said, yes, sir.
Yeah, right.
I didn't know,
what?
because my dad would tell me here and there, always think about it. And then, that recruiter came in and Ryan was dead set.
He was.
Yeah, he was, I'm pretty sure, I think he, came home and told you guys as well.
Oh, yeah. He was like, oh my gosh, this is what Jordan needs to do.
Yeah,
blah, blah, blah,
and
blah.
I was so against it.
I know. You were so against it. Okay, so then Ryan gets better. He goes away to college his winter semester, and you went away.
Yeah, I went to college and I started farming.
Right, that's what it was.
Yep. Central Valley, if I remember correctly.
Yeah,
working with pigs.
Yeah, I was breeding pigs and doing all that kind of stuff.
Right.
So I thought it was all cool and fun.
Well, you got to be away from home.
Yeah, it was a good experience.
Grow,
most definitely.
Right, I can't say it was a terrible experience. But
so, and then between my friend Anthony, who's in the Air Force as well, him and Ryan, it was pretty hard to not think about the military. So I remember I finally made the decision. I called Ryan up and I thought he was going to pee his pants through the phone. He was very excited for me. And he was, between him, a little bit of my parents, but not so much. He was a big reason why I even thought about it in general. So he was, other than my parents, he was the first one I called to let him know, and he was so excited. Definitely more excited than I was at the time.
Right, of course, yeah, of course.
And I think the first thing he said was, "I told you you were gonna do it."
I know, right? You're like, I just needed to mentally prepare and wrap my head around it.
So sure enough,
for sure, that is crazy. Okay, so then Ryan gets re-diagnosed with leukemia.
Yeah.
We know that battle was 10 times worse than the first battle. He got airlifted. He's back in UCLA. At this time, Jordan is getting ready to go to boot camp, if I'm not mistaken. We are isolated in the hospital, and we really can't go anywhere or do anything. But walk me through that portion of the military. Like you're ready to go.
I'm ready to go.
But tell us what you were thinking.
So I'm just getting ready to ship out for basic training, and my mind's set. I'm getting ready to leave.
But your buddy is battling.
Yeah. My best friend's battling cancer. So I saw him once before in the hospital when I came in with Carson Block and another buddy of his.
And he was good.
Yeah. Most definitely. So he was very high spirited. And then, I didn't want to leave without, seeing everyone. So that's when I was down in that area, and I sent you guys a text and I called you and I said, listen, I just need to come in.
Didn't you postpone it? You postponed it.
So actually,
you were originally
I got hurt.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Yeah, I got scoped in the forehead with a rifle.
That's right.
Yep. Yeah.
Sorry for laughing.
So embarrassing. So embarrassing.
That's right. You got hurt. Okay.
Yeah. So
you had to postpone your.
I had to postpone heading out to basic. Yeah, that's great. Military guy getting scoped in the head with a rifle.
Yeah.
That sounds wonderful.
But yeah.
But yeah. So I was down in that area, and I had to come in. I didn't care what it took. How I had to do it. I was going to see him.
Yeah. And I don't know if I even texted you back. I'm sure, I don't know.
You texted me, and it was very short, just letting me know that I could come and pretty much where you guys were and how to get to.
Yeah, because he was in ICU at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So, and that's pretty much, the extent of the messages that you and I had was, yes, this is where he's at. This is what floor. This is how to get to the room. And then you told me, be ready. And, and I thought I was.
Yeah.
But it was a moment that when you got to see Ryan, that even though Ryan didn't do much speaking, if any at all, that you guys just kind of stared into each other's eyes, and you.
Oh, most definitely.
There was a love there. There was an admiration, and there was a communication that was unspoken.
Yeah. I remember walking into the room. You were on his right side and Nana was on his left holding his hand. And then and Nana moved and I came over there and it was we just locked eyes.
Yep.
There wasn't words for a while at first. Of course I didn't have words and, we just looked at each other and and we knew right away that, this is us. We got this.
Yep.
This is, and I know he didn't want, me to see him like that. Of course, just knowing how strong-minded Ryan was and the way the person he was and how strong his personality was, it was, but it didn't matter to me. That was my best friend. That was my brother. That was family right there.
Right.
It didn't matter, the circumstances, all the machines or anything else. That was, that was family.
What did you want out of that visit? Was there something that you wanted to tell him, or was it something that did you get out of that visit what you wanted?
I knew to myself, because the biggest thing for me is I didn't want to go off to basic training and have something happen. I didn't want to get a phone call and say, hey, Ryan's doing a lot better. You need to come see him, or, anything. I didn't know what to expect. And in a situation like that, you can't, you have no communication.
Yeah.
You get very few phone calls and that's about it. So for me being as close as I was to Ryan, I just had to see him. My biggest thing was seeing him. And to get there, and I remember you telling, Ryan that I was joining, and he looked at me, there wasn't much emotion on his face, but his eyes said it all.
He smiled with his eyes.
Yep. And then, I will never forget, you asked Ryan, can you tell Jordan you love him? I will never forget this. And he looked at me and he got frustrated because he couldn't say it. And then he looked away and then he looked right back at me, dead in my eyes. And I was like, all right, he said it. He said it. And then it was, and after that, it wasn't much talking, and not that we had to either. We didn't have to talk.
Yeah. And you're right. You didn't have to talk. He had the way to just be able to pierce your soul with his eyes and let you know what he was thinking, because, in ICU, there wasn't a whole lot of talking. There was a lot of praying and, communicating with the doctors and everything, but Ryan didn't talk much.
Mm-hmm. And you guys had told me that, but, being there and, just him communicating with you with his eyes was, it was unreal. But it was, the most memorable thing I'll ever in my whole life. And you know what? And that was everything I wanted right there, for, the 15, 20 minutes I was there, before he could, cause he was very tired, as you guys know. So, so he took a nap after, but that was the best visit I've ever had, under the circumstances, of course, but, to be able to, see my best friend hold his hand and just, sit there and, I talked to him about, youth sports and just everything, told him that I'm joining the Air Force like he wanted me to.
Right.
And he looked at me, just so much joy in his eyes.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And then when did you leave? Because you didn't leave.
No, I left, what was it? May 16th is when I left.
So you postponed that and had to go to the next one because everything had happened with Ryan.
He hit himself with a rifle scope.
That didn't help the situation.
Stitches in your forehead, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah, so that kind of postponed it as well.
That's right.
It all worked out.
But yeah, so Jordan was here and had just was a support to us after everything, and our house had caught on fire the day Ryan went into ICU. So we came home to no house, no nothing, but we had the people that loved us. And so that was the most important thing to us. And so, but not a lot of people saw him in ICU. So Jordan was one of the few that saw him and got to experience that horrible tragedy. So
it was definitely a special moment.
It was a special moment between you two. And Steve and I were able to witness that, which is so hard to watch. But I'm glad that you got out of it what you wanted, because that makes me feel, because I wanted him to speak to you, but in a way he did.
Oh,
he did.
He did.
Now I get to
maybe not physically, but
Right.
we were definitely talking to each other with no words. There
Absolutely.
was
With
no
no
words spoke.
words. Exactly. Okay, so after everything happened, you decided to do some I don't know, something to remember Ryan.
Something artsy.
Artsy.
So,
Tell us how that came about because I know that that was super
um,
important to you and
yeah.
I'm
So a big thing for me, basic training was, it's not that it's, hard. But it's hard being away from family, and I remember you
it's
guys would write
mental.
me every week.
I wrote Jordan every week because 17 Strong was really getting off the
Yeah.
ground.
I remember
We
you
were
sent me the pictures of the website when it first came out.
Yep.
So my big thing was, this is my best friend. I'm going to do something for him. So I remember sitting there at nights, we're supposed to be sleeping, and I'd sit there and draw ideas up for a tattoo. So I finally got to my training in Florida, and I had all these pieces together, and I went into a tattoo shop. I said, listen, I don't care how much it costs. This is the most important thing to me right now. And I gave her the ideas that I had, and I sat down in the chair. 11 and a half hours later, I had probably the best tattoo I will ever get. And it's Ryan's name with a baseball and a halo with a 17 in the middle of the baseball. Angel wings coming off the baseball, with the staircase to heaven and God's hands underneath, with 17 strong on the back. And that was my thing, was I wanted to come back for Christmas and surprise you guys with the tattoo as well. As much as it meant a lot to me, I wanted to get it for you guys and for Ryan.
Yeah.
So I need to get it done. So it was
Yeah.
11 and a half hours. It
crazy.
wasn't easy, that's for
No,
sure, but
that's
it's
Well,
worth
it's
it.
huge, and I mean, you described it very well, but
Yes,
I'm
you
looking
did.
at it right now because he's in a Muscle Man T-shirt here, and it goes,
From the
from your
shoulder.
shoulder all the way down to your elbow, and it wraps
Mhm.
around your bicep.
Yep.
I mean, it's massive,
You
and
know,
Yeah.
I
it's
and that was my thing, is I'm not gonna do something small because Ryan wasn't a small part of my life.
Right.
You know,
No, I
he
agree.
was a very, very, very big part of my life.
Right.
So if I was doing it, I was going all out. And
Absolutely.
that's exactly what I think I did.
Yeah.
But it's definitely, and I like it because people will ask about it and it sparks a conversation. It's, 17 strong. I can't tell you how many friends of mine in the military are wearing 17 strong hats, sweatshirts, shirts, something.
That's
They all know
awesome.
the story. So
which is
And that's
awesome.
awesome. That's what we want to be able to spread that to everybody. So
Mhm.
that's awesome. So tell me, what is your favorite memory? What is your favorite memory of Ryan? Do you have one?
Oh,
There's probably
goodness.
tons, but
Yeah, there's tons. I think I think my favorite memories, it's not one because we did it so many times, was when Ryan, Aaron, and I would just get in the gator and we'd find new parts of the mountains, new parts of the ranch that, we'd never been. And we'd spend all day out there. We'd pack
Yep.
a lunch, bring a little, music box, and we'd be out there all day.
that's
And if
awesome.
we didn't bring a lunch, we'd come back and you guys had it made.
Oh, yep.
Waking up for your pancakes in the morning. I
Oh,
definitely
yeah.
remember that.
Steve's famous
Um,
pancakes that the boys would request
and
them.
that was and that was also my first experience going to church was with you guys.
That's awesome.
So,
Yeah.
Ryan was the one that got me going in there. And, I'll never forget. I don't know if you guys remember me telling you, but my bus number on the way to basic was bus 17.
Was 17. No mistake. Those
Nope.
little like winks,
Yep.
they encourage me and motivate me all the time because yeah, that's awesome. I love to hear those things. And to me it was just confirmation. And
Mhm.
and do you have any regrets now that you've been in the military
No,
for
I
2 or
don't.
3 years?
No,
How
I
long?
don't. Yeah. So, May will be 3 years. And I love, because everyone joins for a different reason.
Absolutely.
So I love telling my story of why I joined.
And tell me
Um,
what you tell people.
So I tell people, it's a promise to my best friend. They ask me, and of course the question, the next question is, well, what do you mean?
What does that mean?
So I explain, from when the recruiter, came in to the moment you told him in ICU that I was joining, because that was a look on his face I will never forget. And that was my promise.
Yeah.
There was something I was going to do to have the legacy live on, our friendship live on. And that was my promise to him. So, and it definitely wasn't my first choice to join the military. I don't regret it at all now that I'm in. Of course not. But, looking at the big picture, it's, it's what can I do for myself, but how can I, cherish this friendship,
Sure.
keep this promise, and just keep everything, he and I so close. So it's every day, I wake up, I put a uniform on.
Yep.
I look at my arm, there's my tattoo. There's Ryan.
Yeah. Yep.
So, it kind of all goes together very well. But, and then the conversations from there spark.
That's
17 Strong gets brought up, and it's endless conversations because obviously they're going to ask, how close were you to this, and that.
Right. And in this town too, it's a small little town, and Brian had a contagious personality. So everybody thinks that they're a good friend of Ryan's.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what it is like to be a true friend to Ryan, because he loved with his whole heart. He loved you. He loved unconditionally. He loved, but he was never afraid to tell you that. And that is the most precious thing that I think I loved. Like you knew where you stood with him,
Most definitely.
and I think that was amazing. So I am so glad that you came. I'm so glad that you serve in our country, and I think that's awesome that you do that. Thank you for your service for sure. What do you want to add?
I think you summed it up. Thank you and the men and women that serve in every division of our
Ryan loved our country. He loved.
Oh yeah.
He loved everything about it, and knew that was such a perfect fit for Jordan. So
and it takes a special person. I mean,
100%.
we have two nephews that are one that's in right now, one that's joining.
Yeah.
Here within the next year.
And I know that Ryan's proud. So I can 100% tell you that I know that he's proud of you. That's powerful.
Yeah.
It's powerful.
So with that, Jordan, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you and your brothers and sisters for their service to our country. And we are going to wrap up this podcast for 17 Strong. And wishing you all a happy new year. And remember, attitude is everything.
You've been listening to 17 Strong. Victories don't come by accident. To be part of the show, make a donation, or request more information, go to 17strong.org. That's SEVENTEEN strong.org.